is down over 30%. Nearly 441,000 jobs have been lost in our industry. We estimate that between 25 and 30% of restaurants, cafes, caterers, small bars and coffee shops are closed around the country at present until the restrictions are eased.
It's just phenomenal. Now, when those restrictions are eased, as they will be gradually, we get to get the details of that. How many of those cafes, restaurants will be able to reopen, and how much of a future do you think that they have?
Well, we're estimating that about 90% will reopen straight away when the restrictions are eased. However, 10% may not reopen in the long term. And then if the federal government doesn't continue JobKeeper, the BAS top-up, and the mandatory landlord code of practice, we estimate that a further 10% may not make it in the COVID recovery period.
Okay, let's talk about JobKeeper then. There have been a lot of headlines about problems both from an employer's and employees' point of view. For your industry quite broadly, has that been a successful program?
It's been quite successful for many of our members. However, only 54% of businesses in the accommodation and food service sector have actually signed up for JobKeeper. So we're quite happy that the government has extended it until 30 May, which will allow more accommodation and food services businesses to sign up.
Okay. You've submitted guidelines to the federal cabinet about reopening cafes and bars. Can you give us some indication of the sorts of guidelines that you've indicated you'd like to see?
So those guidelines that the Prime Minister discussed on Tuesday are all low-cost, practical guidelines that reduce the touch points in businesses, like from the front door, social distancing in waiting areas. As you get to your table, you might see disposable menus or menus that can be wiped off. You might see fewer condiments on the tables to reduce the touch points. You certainly will see more hygiene around cutlery, and you'll see sanitizing stations in more places around the restaurants.
These have all got a cost associated with them and also a significant burden to the staff working in those premises. How much of an impact do you think the added requirements there are actually going to have on the viability of businesses?
Ultimately, the guidelines are to make sure that businesses are seen as COVID safe. This is really about consumer confidence. The restaurants, cafes, caterers, small bars and coffee shops around Australia will need those consumers to get restarted, and it's so important that those businesses are seen as COVID safe by those diners.
Yeah, sure. What do you reckon about consumer confidence? Do you think that people are actually going to be willing to spend on discretionary items like an in-restaurant meal, for example, given the state of the economy?
So there is a lot of pent-up demand to get back into dining establishments. The dining culture in Australia is quite strong, and we expect that Australia will see much higher uptake of dine-in meals as compared to other jurisdictions.
All right, let's hope so. Wes Lambert, really good to speak to you this morning. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay.